Welcome to another episode of Victory Leaders Lounge podcast, where we talk about leadership and successful entrepreneurs and veterans come and tell their story. I hope you enjoy the show. Follow me. Let's go. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Victory Leaders Lounge. This podcast is brought to you by Victory Leadership Coaching, the home of the Warrior Leadership Coaching Certification and the First Time Leaders course. Designed to help new managers conquer their leadership journey with confidence and purpose. If you're ready to level up your leadership skills, head over to victoryleadershipcoaching.com/home for resources that will transform the way you lead. Dive deeper into leadership with our must-read books on Amazon, Why Organizations Should Develop Their Leaders. It's a powerful guide to building stronger, more effective teams, and Warrior Leadership, Journey from Coach to Entrepreneur. Your roadmap from turning your passion into a thriving business. Don't miss a beat. Like and subscribe to all of our videos on YouTube. Follow us on Spotify and wherever else you see this streamed. All right, and today I have a guest on here. He's a retired Army veteran as well as me, but his name is Jon. And Jon, thank you for coming on the show. Did you want to tell a little bit about yourself to the audience and kind of share a little bit about your journey into entrepreneurship with us?
Yeah, thanks for having me on. It's pretty cool to be able to participate in something like this as I continue to grow and learn in business, and as well as sharing the things that I've learned over the years. Just quick 30-second background on myself. Grew up in rural Arkansas. Had a full ride to college through band, through the effort put in there, but learned through my older brother and going party with him one weekend that I needed a little more structure. So I ended up choosing to go to the Air Force, ended up spending 10 years in the Air Force doing secure communications. And then I had the opportunity, I like to joke and say that the Army had paid me more and let me fly helicopters. In reality, I applied and got picked up on the second look of my package, but ultimately ended up landing with them. Got down to what's now Fort Novosel, went through flight school, got the Blackhawks, got stationed at Fort Campbell, Kentucky, where I ended up, I like to say, debating my way over to the MEDEVAC because they didn't send brand new W-1s there at the time because of the learning curve that was associated with it. But I'm stubborn. I was 12 years into a 20-year career at that point. So I wanted to know when I was done that I made a difference. So ended up getting with the MEDEVAC, stayed with them for right at 8 years, for 10 years total in the Army. Retired out in 2017, went through the Microsoft Software and Systems Academy where I had to teach myself networking fundamentals to be able to get the certification, to be able to get into the program. Ended up going through the program. Out of that, I landed with a small company here in Huntsville. When I say small, I was their first ass in seat, if I can say that, under their Army or under their company name, doing Army acquisitions. And as you heard, I had tons of experience doing that. But they took a chance on me and ended up staying with them for 4 years total. 6 months of that was done doing Army acquisitions as program integrator. And then I had the opportunity to transfer and work for the same company and customer doing foreign military sales, which I did for about 3.5 years total, helping to grow from a team of 2 to about 9 at any given time, 3 and 4, 5 of them from our small company in support of that. Then I had the opportunity to transfer to Microsoft for my primary day job at the 4-year mark, where I ended up moving and doing a customer success account manager role through contacts that I still stayed in touch with from my mentorship session in the MSSA. Ended up helped grow that portfolio from roughly 140,000 in sales to right before I transitioned off that customer to we had a $3.2 million deal in place. They fully funded 1.8 of it up front, which was pretty cool to watch from the 4 years that I was with them, to continue to duplicate and double the contract size and show value to that customer year over year. That said, fast forward to early 2023, had a lot of tragedy happen in my life. Lost my father-in-law, who was a mentor of mine for 20 plus years. And then 3 months later, or roughly 3 months later, in a 3-day succession, ended up losing my oldest brother to cancer. The next day, I lost my uncle to suicide based on his health issues that he had. He wanted to go out on his own terms. That's just the way that he lived his life. And then sadly, the third day, we ended up losing the 2 aircraft over Fort Campbell, which was out of the MEDEVAC unit that I was with my entire time. That said, fortunately, I didn't know any of the souls that we lost, but I did know the mission. I did know the community, and still had ties there. So for me, it was a bit of a wake up call to what can I be doing more of to support not just myself, my family, which I already do, but the community, and then beyond that, what's the greater from that. So out of all that tragedy, something sparked in me, and I hadn't turned loose yet. I have since founded Veteran Reachback Group, which does a multitude of things. And as you'll hear, I've got a wide variety of things that I get into, that I enjoy doing, that I'm passionate about, but they all steer around helping others. So under the Veteran Reachback Group, we do combat-related special compensation for those that apply, and really just demystify what that means and what it looks like, and then break it down Barney style for individuals like me that need that basic level of knowledge to get past all the big words and scripture that's out there in support of that. That one I do for free. I send it to the veterans in hopes that they'll take it and run with it and have their own victory that way. And then if they happen to come back, then I'll charge them through the nose, just because I don't want them coming back at the end of the day. I want them to have that win and take the product that I built and go forth and do great things. So horrible business model for that one. But that said, I also had to get back to myself, which was being creative. I grew up in art and music and all the things. So out of that, I created Real Apparel Company. And what I do there is my own creative designs. And I have a assistant that helps me out, who's also my son's long-term girlfriend. And I know people say don't mix business and family, but at the end of the day, when you've got a great soul that understands the passion and understands the drive and is young and hungry, I'm never going to turn that down. So she's gotten to where she now takes and creates her own images and adds them to the collection, which is fun to see her grow in her own right and creativity and things like that. And really, that one, I'd love people to buy my stuff. Don't get me wrong, but at the end of the day, it's for me. It's for me to know that whenever I go to put something on, I can wear it proudly. I can represent me and my creative side from that. But out of that, I learned a lot. And so, me being me, I pivoted and talked to a business professional that I trust her opinion, and created or represented an idea to her of what I wanted to do outside of just rack and what I'd learned. But she's like, I love the idea and I love rack, but it doesn't fit to what you're trying to do, and probably wouldn't carry as much professionalism, for lack of better words, in that arena. So I created PMP Design under VRBG. And what I do there is I partner with small businesses, boosters, and nonprofits, as well as one-offs. And we do a few things there. We either do creative image design with them if they don't already have it. If they already have it, even better, because what I do is essentially build them an e-commerce store under our collections so that they have less hassle, less headache, and less concern. And ultimately, we go through and they get to pick what items they want to do. They get to pick the profit margin they want to have, all the things. And we just manage the back end side of the house for them. They get to cross collaboration of the other collections, because the eyes that are seeing those other collections as well. So it's a benefit there. One of the greatest benefits is for small businesses, boosters, and nonprofits. You don't have a lot of money when you're starting out. You're trying to get your name and brand out there. So with PMP Design, I don't charge anything for anything that I develop for them when I build their collection. How I essentially will make my money as we continue to move forward is in slow batches. And the way it works is once a month, I'll scrub their sales collection with them in a meeting, and then I send them a check for roughly 90% of the profit of what they've sold that month. The thought is that if anybody's a fan of Shark Tank, I get to take a little bit of the watermelon out of the thing. But there said, I don't want the watermelon. I want my little bit off the watermelon, but at that, I want to build a watermelon patch that I get to see other entrepreneurs grow in their own right. And I get a little bit on the backside to keep the doors open and continue to help others as I push forward with that. That said, we've got over 15 or 16 companies, small businesses, and boosters out there right now under our collections. So really watching and seeing them grow in their own right's been kind of fun with that. Been doing that probably about 3 or 4 months now, maybe a little longer. It all starts to run together at the end of the day. But people like Blazing Star Barbecue out of Vegas, who's a veteran that started his own barbecue and rub company. He's just killing it. You got Last Stand Arsenal out of Montana, if I'm not mistaken. who does gun graphics, and they're reaching an audience that they might not otherwise reached in their own platforms. Then I had the opportunity to purchase a bounce house water slide business last last fall. So that'll be rolling out in the spring here locally. And then ultimately in giving back and looking at the incident at Fort Campbell and what happened, the analogy I give, and we've talked about it a little bit, but if you could imagine two cars on an interstate, single lane, barriers either side, 10-mile stretch, curves along the way, one light out at night while it's raining, I'm going to have them go 90 to 95, a foot and a half apart. In one car, I'm going to have a 19 and 20-year-old. In the other car, I'm going to have a 15-year-old in the front seat, a 16-year-old beside him, and a 21-year-old in the back seat telling the 16-year-old how to tell the 15-year-old how to drive. And based on that response right there, you already recognize that something likely is going to happen. And then when it does, it's likely to be catastrophic. And while all things are correct, there's nothing illegal or wrong with the situation I just described. There's just not a level of experience. So the big picture that I had was, how do we get that back? Well, in the military, you got a couple of things. You got stop loss, you got recall, but neither one of those are going to get the quality of what you're looking for, because they're not going to want to be there. So how do you get it back and have that passion? Well, my thought and my vision is we take and we build a mentorship program in support of the military that pairs, say, 1 to 5 year removed individuals from the military that still have a passion, the knowledge and experience to pair with those leaders, pair with those warrants that are in those maintenance programs and the safety programs, and have them have somebody that they can talk to and communicate and learn from that's outside of the chain of command, but still understands and meets all the criteria of that chain of command, and burden or take some of the burden off of leadership to be able to manage their people and grow their experience across that. That said, that's a big dream, right? The military is a big organization. It takes a lot of effort and energy to get to the right people to even present that idea. So me, instead of waiting 10 years to do that, I jumped on it and I developed Eagle Rising Foundation, and we do a lot of local stuff from a haunted trail that I'm proud to say we've donated roughly, between Microsoft matching and our own raising of donations, we're at roughly $20,000 in donations to them over the last 4 years. I've been able to sponsor a 3/4 size Vietnam Memorial wall to Talladega International Motorsports Hall of Fame for the April race last year. I also am developing mentorship programs like it's never seen before. We have 10 currently that are in the works, but I'm only one person. So what I've started and committed to this year is developing the barbecue program. The thought there is a mentor comes along and says, hey, I want to teach about barbecue. And they sign up, they register, they get access to the calendar. And from there, they can pick 15-minute virtual meet and greets, is what I call them, the mother-in-law meet, if you will. And the intent there is for the mentor to come in and meet the mentee, see if they vibe, see if they've got that connection to be able to move forward with the mentorship session. Once they do that and they agree, then we as a nonprofit will send them a package. In the example of barbecue, you're talking pork butt, rack of ribs, spices full, the basic stuff that they would need to be able to do that mentorship session. The intent is to do it free of charge to the mentor and the mentee. And my thought is that the mentor can come in and share that knowledge and not put a burden on their family or other responsibilities that they have, because they're already given their time. And that's the most valuable thing that we can ever ask for of somebody. Then on the mentee side, they're able to come in and experience and learn from somebody that's passionate about that particular thing. And then they get to taste it without ever putting a big effort in. And the thought is that the commitment that they make to us is they'll record the session, just kind of like we're doing right now, but then be able to turn that loose to smart folks that are part of the Eagle Rising Foundation community, and let them put together videos out of that we can host on YouTube, so others can come and learn and grow without ever getting to that level, and see what kind of commitment that is expected as they go into the programs and things like that. And ultimately just get that tribal knowledge, as I call it, back to the communities, back to our ground roots of how and where we got to where we are today. And a lot of that is through hand craftsmanship, from woodworking to instrument development, to writing music, to written words, to electricians to plumbers to any trade that's out there. All these apply under these programs that I'm looking at rolling out through this mentorship session. And then the last thing I got is my bar and grill that we just opened in Papillion, Nebraska, roughly 12-hour drive away, that is in my wife's hometown. And really what I was looking to do there is throw everything I've been able to raise and borrow to do something for that community that wasn't just your standard bar and grill, but really bring the community together in the growth of what is there, and work with those other small businesses and collaborate. And we've done just that. Me being me, I sent a small challenge out on Facebook to one of the business owners when he posted about having chili at his place. I told him it looked great, and said, hey, this makes me have an idea about doing a employee chili cook-off. So that turned from me tagging 2-3 individual businesses, and currently we have over 15 businesses from the local community that have stepped up as a part of this. So we're going to do a pretty cool chili cook-off within the town on the 8th of February up there. And it really ballooned into something magical that was intended to just be a fun, like, community thing, just a few, and now it's literally the entire community coming together to do this. We've got the mayor involved now. He's on board. We've got a couple other big name folks there in the town they're coming out and supporting, which is pretty cool, just from one engagement and collaboration. So
awesome.
I know that was a lot, but
hey, you know what? That's what this show is all about. But the question I have about this whole thing is, I know you said you went from, I guess, what I would have called myself is kind of what you were when you were younger, is maybe a bit of a knucklehead, not so necessarily motivated and all of that, to having a successful career in the military, but then also having the drive to do all of those things. As far as leadership is concerned, I always talk about the why being the most important to doing these things. And you hit on it in the very beginning just a little bit, but what drives you? What is your why to push you through all of these things? Because you're obviously doing a lot and you're moving forward with everything. So there's got to be a driving force, a huge mission behind it. I'm just curious if you wouldn't mind sharing what that is. Or maybe you're just a glutton for punishment.
There's a little bit of that too, right? But at the end of the day, what drives me and the passion that pushes me every day is knowing that, one, I'm leaving it better than I found it. And two is really getting back to what I was raised in, which is community and family and friends and people supporting each other, not just across the globe, but locally. When you talk about what impacts you can make, go outside, talk to your neighbor. We're here on a little road in Alabama that there's 3 retired families out of the military, medically and otherwise. And we've adopted all the neighbors on the road, and we affectionately call it the compound. And we have big pizza dinners at a buddy's house in his shop and have everybody over. We have barn or fires out back and things like that. But ultimately, the drive is to, as arrogant as this sounds and comes across, is I want my family and kids to be proud. I also want to know that, just like with the military and with the MEDEVAC, that when I'm done, I've done something that made a difference. And there's no tangible money that can come your way that will allow you to have that feeling. I tell people all the time, I'm the most selfish individual I ever meet. And they look at me kind of crooked. And I tell them it's because I get a high like no other that no drug will ever touch by helping others. The experience, the knowledge, the smile on their face, the knowing that they can make it through another day is what drives me in everything that I do. I didn't plan on going down this road or rabbit hole, but at the end of the day, I think it's something people should know, that I pulled the trigger. I've been there with the suicide thing, and the only reason I'm here is because of my wife. And when you get to that point, you're done, mm-hmm. and I recognize that, and I don't ever want to go back there, and I won't, so now I fill my time with other positive stuff, and to my wife's dismay, it drives her nuts because I'm constantly going. My brain doesn't shut off. I'll wake up at 3 a.m. and I'll pick up my phone and I'll write down a idea that I had in the middle of the night, and then I'll wake up the next morning and I'll start actioning it. And really it boils down to maximizing the time that you have. A lot of people hear all the stuff that I have going and they're like, how do you do that? You got a full-time job and you must slack here, slack there. I learned to do micro projects is what I call them. So most of the time when you get involved in something, you're in a meeting, you'll have 5-10 minutes left. You'll sit there and play on your phone and do video games. I don't do that anymore. I'll jump over and I'll do and leverage technology where I'll say, hey, I want to do some creative imaging today. So I'll jump over and I'll start working within the technology that I use to say, give me 10 ideas around this topic. And I'll go back to another meeting, do a meeting, and then jump back over when that one's done. All right, cool. I got these ideas. Now let's work and develop prompts for each one of these. All right. While it's doing its thing, I jump over and do my other thing. So instead of just wasting time and staring off into la la land on games and other things, I just started doing small productive things where little steps start to add up to big changes at the end of the day. And, you know, you've heard the analogy, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. You know, same concept with any leadership, any business, any entrepreneurial stuff. You have to start from somewhere. And then it's a matter of you, of how big those steps are. You know, some steps are ginormous and are life-changing in a matter of seconds, but others, and more likely, is their baby steps. They're baby changes that you make in your attitude, in your delivery of your day, in the things that you engage with, the people you engage with on a daily basis that bring that same spirit to not put you down, but to build you up. And recognize when you have flaws and call you out for those and let you see those in a productive manner so you can adapt and change and continue to move forward in a positive manner. And at the end of the day, it's positivity, it's resilience, it's understanding that there is a rhyme and a reason. And as an entrepreneur, as a leader, you've got that vision. Now it's a matter of how do you get that articulated down to the people that you want to follow you in that mission.
Yep. Well, you know, you said a lot of very powerful things, but the one thing that I would like to highlight, not necessarily, obviously you're there, you get it. But what a lot of people struggle with, and this is why I have this podcast as a whole, is that when you're watching this, just reflect back just 5 minutes ago when Jon was talking about this, and he got a little bit teary-eyed and his voice started fluttering, but then he started going from that to smiling and talking about all of the things that he's doing. If you are down and out and you are struggling, you know, find something that gives you that kind of a high, something that really pushes you forward. That's what my business does. That's what this podcast does. That's what everything that Jon is doing. That's what that does for him. I had to work myself out of PTSD and all kinds of problems that were honestly keeping me cooped up at my house. And I got to the point where I said, this is stupid. How can I help people and get the heck out of this? But if you can't find something that gets you to that point where you have a heart-filled mission, search for it. Don't give up on yourself and don't give up on that mission just because you haven't found it yet. You owe it to yourself and you owe it to everyone around you, by the way, because, you know, if you have a wife and kids, they're not going to see that whole person anymore until you find that. Suffering through a 9-to-5 or sitting on the couch and collecting disability is not going to fill your heart anymore. Find that mission and go for it. Once you start doing that, you're going to find that passion, that why, it just builds on energy and energy and energy. And before you know it, you are this animal that nobody would have recognized before you started all of that. And so I'm glad you found that. Not everybody finds that. That's why I have this show, is you are the type of person who exemplifies that in what you just said. And you and I never even talked about that the last time we talked.
Yeah.
But, you know, thank you for telling your story. And some of that stuff was very vulnerable and it's not easy to talk about, but it's important for people to hear that no matter what mental state you're in, you can push through that and get to the next place. Just don't give up on yourself.
And one thing that people need to understand too is it's okay to ask for help. It's
Yep.
okay to identify that you're having issues. You know, if you looked at my medical jacket, for lack of better words, through the VA, and even through their math, I'm over 200% in their eyes. You know, 100% for PTSD, combat related, and then 100% in the physical stuff that goes along with it. That between that and my retirement, I've been very blessed in my life, and people hear me say it all the time, and I don't want, and I won't sit and wither away, you know, from that aspect. And I do joke the fact that I'm 46, about to be 47. I still don't know what I want to do with my life, and that's part of it too,
We're
right?
never going to grow up.
uh, Understanding some of the impacts and effects of PTSD, and finding ways to go, yep. If you were to look, and this may sound crazy, but if you were to look at the things that I have going in my world and my life and all the shit that I just rattled off, one of the things for PTSD is just that, is not being able to sit still, not wanting to stop, because it allows time for the demons to creep in.
Yep.
And I will say that a lot of people will look at my stuff and go, that's not healthy. You know, that's not healthy to have that much stuff going on, and that much. But for me, it's my outlets. It's my way to give back in very specific way through Eagle Rising. It's my way of being creative again, and letting that stress relief go in the things that I create through Rack. And then just the collaborative effort and the energy that I get to bring to small businesses, boosters, and nonprofits whenever I engage with them for the P&P stuff is huge to me. And it's a big reason why I do the things that I do from that aspect.
Well, we have about a little under 4 minutes left for this this podcast. But this is the point where I always ask my guest if they had a message, or if there was one thing that you could share with my audience, what's one thing that you would say?
Be a good human.
Fair enough. Hey,
Start there. Everything else will fall in place. I promise you. Just start with being a good human. You'll see that things start changing.
I completely agree. And you know, you've shown that, and thank you for sharing all of the things that you shared. The one thing that I think that the whole audience should take away from that is that they shouldn't give up on themselves. You know, be a good person. Don't give up on yourselves. Don't give up on yourselves, please. You owe it to yourself to push forward. And if there's something that you want to do, don't wait till tomorrow. Don't wait till next week. Don't wait till next year. Just because of finances or whatever, you can start. I mean, from Jon on this episode, you can start 5,000 things at one time if you want to, and just take small elephant-sized chunks out of it, and just accomplish your mini goals every day. And you know, once you get those wins, it's gonna make it so that you have all the energy in the world to conquer all the other things, because all you need is the wins. Once you push yourself to the next level and you get those wins, then you're going to start to see everything start falling into place. And mentally, don't fall back to where you were, because just like Jon said, the most dangerous place in the world is in your own head. Once you start getting lost in there, everything you're trying to do, whether you're doing great or not, is probably going to get lost.
That's fact. If you oblige me, I do want to give one shout out though, real quick, for something I did back in June that's getting ready to air, coming up hopefully in the next month. But for those that are familiar with Wes Bergman and Real World and the Challenge back in the day, he started an entrepreneurial workshop for small businesses up to medium-sized businesses that you come out for a week. He also it also happens to be a reality series. I was on season 16 that's getting ready to air. Season 15 just had their 1 million viewer episode, which is pretty cool to see from the small business perspective of that many eyes on your stuff because of one man's drive and determination to do better for others, as well as his own stuff. So I commend him for what he's done there and the community that he's built overall for small businesses and things like that to learn and grow from each other, as well as push out to millions of others at this point. that are looking to do similar things from that perspective. So,
and what's the name of that? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
It's called The Blocks. And if you look on Facebook, they're under Beta Blocks is their main company from that perspective.
Beta Blocks. So check him out on this upcoming season. Jon King, he's going to be on there. That's awesome. There you go. Well, thank you again, Jon. I really appreciate you being a guest on here. And no matter where you're seeing this, please subscribe if you're on YouTube. Please subscribe on YouTube so you can see more of this stuff. But if this message resonates with you, or if there's something specific that you'd like me or one of my guests to talk about, please put a comment below this so that we can keep these conversations going. So I can grow the channel and bring the stuff that you want, not the stuff that I want. Because just because my face is on here doesn't mean I'm the one that matters. The audience matters.
Right.
So again, thank you, Jon, and thank you to everybody who's helped me grow my show up to now. And we'll see you next time.
Appreciate it, sir. See you.